Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bird Brain 66 with your host, Andy Teague. Andy, you're on my right or my left?
Yes.
Good answer. I'm Brian Bretchen. We'll never figure this out, who's where on the screen. But anyway, welcome to this edition. We are going to be reviewing the 2008 Topps Heritage Set, 24 Cardinals in this team set. 720 cards in the entire series. There's lots of good looks and feels about this collection. Andy, what's your overall first, take on the '08 Topps Heritage set?
Well, since it looks like the 59 set, it's one of the favorite sets out there, for most card collectors. So, nice up close photos and everybody, because they're, mostly portraits and, a few what you would call semi-action shots of people swinging or holding bats or what have you. We'll go ahead and show you one of the first ones here. Mr. Pujols. You can see his too bright. Look at that. But also MVP winner that year for Mr. Pujols. I think he had 37 home runs and 116 RBIs and hit 350 something. I can't remember exactly where he fell as far as average. I know it was in the 350s though. So one of his, just another phenomenal year that he was having on his run with the Cardinals. But yeah, a great looking set just because it emulates the 59 series. And there's the guy who didn't pitch that year, but integral part of the Cardinals in the 2000s.
Yep. Also love the back of these cards. Again, looks exactly like the 59s with the little cartoon on the back and a little bit of trivia for everyone. In fact, this one just says Chris was the '05 Cy Young winner. And anyway, said from '04 to '06, he succumbed to elbow surgery after one start last season. He hopes to return to the hill at some point in '08. And we all know that he did do that and also was phenomenal in the 2006. The 2011 World Series. So great Chris Carpenter card. Who you
One
got?
thing I like are the team cards that they're available. Let me get that glare off of there.
Very cool. Quite a few short prints in this collection too, in this run. You also mentioned that they did not really do any updates or several players, before we started recording, just talking through and that are missing, Ryan Franklin being one of them, Kyle McClellan being another one, certainly some of those players. But remember, I know that we all love this guy. He, in fact, is one of the short prints.
Yep.
Love that card of Yachty. And like I said, I actually like this Heritage set because, again, I like the super close-ups of the folks.
Yeah, another guy you mentioned people missing was Troy Glaus, because we lost Scott Rowland in the offseason and he was replaced by Troy Glaus, but he doesn't appear in this set. And, like you said, Ryan Franklin as well. But it was kind of one of those season, off seasons that you're like, we're losing our, great center fielder Jim Edmonds. But we did pick up a guy named David Freese, who would be integral part of the Cardinals down the road. But we also got this guy in center field who came back as, a position player after, starting out as a pitcher with the Cardinals. So very nice to have Rick back, always one of my favorite players with the Cardinals and does a great job on the broadcast as well.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance, anybody who's watching this, I know true Cardinal fans have done this before, but there's some great YouTube videos out of some of the best all-time putouts by a center fielder, right fielder.
You're thinking of one game against the Rockies. I can't think of who it was he threw out, but it was just a dead-on.
I think it was two players in the same game trying to go from first to third, and it wasn't even close. And I've never seen anybody. Well, and I shouldn't say that there. I know that there are, but it's just so vivid in my memory that how he went back, how he got the ball, how he positioned himself, and he didn't even skip the ball in there. I mean, it was just an absolute freaking line.
It was a rocket shot.
Yeah. And you're thinking, yeah, here's the same guy that was an unbelievable pitcher until his mechanics and he went through the mental issues that he did. But yeah, that game against the Rockies, throwing two guys out at third base was just phenomenal. You gotta wonder what the heck the second guy was even thinking when he had tucked it when you saw the first one, because it was practically in the same spot, goes back, gets the ball, turns around, and just, yeah, like you said.
He probably thought it was a fluke, so he went and took off anyway.
Yeah. This guy always cracked me up. He was pretty much of an enigma with that. Is that a good word
Yeah.
to refer to it? Brendan, everybody always said that this guy was a riot, was good at doing impersonations, but was kind of like the lone wolf of the team. In fact, my family and I, I guess it was 2005. No, trying to remember what year it is. Anyway, long story short, we actually we went to Kansas City to go watch a Royals Cardinals series, and we, by happenstance, ended up in the in the Cardinals hotel when they were playing the Royals. And all of a sudden, you start seeing all the players. My daughters get excited. My wife gets excited, blah, blah, blah. But we go out to go get dinner that night. And we're walking along one of the streets in downtown Kansas City looking for some good barbecue. Maybe we've already had good barbecue. Don't remember how it goes. And here comes Brendan Ryan walking down the street all by himself. And all the other players were loading up in SUVs and going out to eat. And, here he was. He had his earbuds in and he was, rapping, singing, doing whatever he was doing and just having the time of his life. And I just thought that was completely odd when you're on the road and all your teammates are going out to dinner and you're just out there, marching and dancing to your own tune. And again, I think that kind of may have been his Achilles heel and something that rubbed Tony the wrong way, because, for as good as what he was defensively, he had his issues with hitting. He did have a couple of big playoff hits, but there was just something off about Brendan, and he just didn't stick with the team.
Speaking of mentioning Tony, so we go ahead and show the cool manager card that they had in that set. The interesting thing too is that we also lost Walt Jocketty, and Mo became the general manager. So,
yep.
So another one of those we're always in those transition years. It seems like, looking at the Cardinals, it seems like they have a lot of them.
There was another weird transition that I couldn't understand. Adam Kennedy coming back to play second base. He struggled in his first run with the Cardinals, and we were playing a revolving door at second base, so we bring him back for another chance, and I think it was maybe for another season or two. Same sort of kind of issues as the first time, and the revolving door kept spinning, and away went Adam.
You might recognize this guy because he is another guy that came back, and he's on the coaching staff now. So fabulous player. One thing that always kind of drove me nuts about Skip, though, was his thing with his batting gloves. He would adjust those batting gloves every pitch, and it was just something that
superstitious.
What's that?
Said he was very superstitious, I guess. But I mean, one of my family's all-time favorite players. My girls loved watching him play. My wife loved watching him play. All three of them are very excited to see that he's back with the organization. I mean, a true guy that would do anything for the team. Was an outfielder that made that tough transition to second base when no one thought that he could do that. Just an all-around good guy.
Sounds like somebody else, that we got currently that's playing second base that may be making another transition.
Yep, definitely. Well, I was going to showcase this guy because it always saddens me.
Oh, yeah.
About his great battle with cancer before he finally succumbed. Talk about a guy who came up, and obviously you thought that he really wasn't going to do anything because he was Dave Duncan's son. But, for a while they're in that lineup with, being protected by Edmonds and Pujols and such. I mean, he had some monstrous home runs. I know that he always joked that he should have never been playing right field because it was always a circus for him out there catching fly balls, and obviously he wasn't going to move to first base with Albert being there. But man, oh man, I just remember the home runs that he hit. And
Here's another guy who could hit some monster home runs for the Cardinals.
And talk about there was a pick that, you're wondering, who is this guy? He kind of had a couple of good seasons and he struggled. Did he come from the Indians? I'm trying to remember if that was who he was with. Want to take a peek at that? Was he from Cleveland?
He did come from the Cleveland organization. There was Texas before that.
Yeah, and to come up and be in that ideal spot where you got the protection of the Mang, Albert Pujols, and
I think, as a matter of fact, I think he hit like 27 home runs that year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe he was also an all-star. So
Here's another familiar face.
Love that one. That's probably one of my all-time favorite Adam Wainwright cards. Just love.
Unfortunately, only won 11 games that year. Should have won more, but we had a little problem with the bullpen and the closer spot. But
Izzy got hurt, started having those arm issues, and then we put in Ryan Franklin, who we talked about, who's not in this particular set. There was another guy who was a draft pick of the Cardinals, came up with us, then was, I think, dealt in a trade, and then eventually came back as a free agent. He actually had a decent 07 season. I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, won 12 games for the Cardinals, and
they couldn't have picked a better picture, though. I mean,
hey, Braden, look at the camera. I have no idea what he's doing here. It's just, sometimes I wonder if they just gave it to any old person, and that was the only one that happened to be in focus. It's mind-boggling. Then I'm looking at.
I'll give it up to Tots for this one, since they did this.
Yeah.
They went ahead and just threw him on there. Well, I wish they would have done that with Gloss as well and Franklin, but for whatever reason that didn't take place.
And not to worry about the dirty cap. They just left him, he kept the Reds cap on. So here's another guy a couple of years ago that was talking about that story of being in KC. It's one of our ones that we both seem to have thousands and thousands of. Garcia. Yep. He was actually a really interesting person. When we were in Kansas City, he was actually brought his mom and dad in to watch him pitch, and that was kind of cute seeing him walk around with his parents. We ran into him and his mom and dad several times that trip, so that was cool.
Yep, I think we pretty much exhausted this particular set. Great.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there was anybody else that I was wanting to showcase. Well, we do know that I'll finish with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I always was an Erin Miles fan. Another good utility player, could play multiple positions for the Cardinals. Seemed like he always came up with a big defensive play in a pinch or a good clutch hit. I think the merry-go-round won a couple of times for him, leaving the team and coming back too, if I recall. So, but overall, I enjoy this. I give out of a 1 to 5 rating, with 5 being the highest. I'm going at probably at about a 4, just because I love the 59 look. Wouldn't give it a 5 because they're missing some key players. If they would have just worked on any sort of an update, especially for the Cardinals, as many players it seemed like were coming and going at the shortstop, second base, and especially at the pitching staff.
Oh, yeah.
Carp being hurt, but like I said, I give it a 4. What about you?
I'd go with that as well. I think, like you said, the missing players is probably the problem with it. It's not like, it is 1959 and they couldn't churn the cards out they needed to in this particular set. So, yeah, gotta give them a mark down on this one.
Yep. And it would have been nice to see them, because they've done it in other sets. It would have been nice to highlight, 1 or 2 of the former Cardinals from that 59 set. It would have been nice to see them do a 59 Gibson commemorating his rookie season. Would have been nice to finally see Stan Musial on one of these days. I'll stop being mispronouncing him like most St. Louisans do. It's Musial. It would have been nice to see a retro card of Stan the Man, and couple other players in there. Maybe even I'll give a shout out to Smokey Joe Cunningham. It would have been nice to see him too. But yeah, a 4 is fair to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
All righty. Well, just wanted to thank you all for watching this episode of Bird Brain 66 with my good buddy Andy Teague. I'm Brian Bretsch. You can find us on Twitter at Bird Brain 66 and on Facebook. Got to tell you, you need to follow us on Twitter. I'm getting lots of good former player comments. Just heard from Reggie Sanders the other day, so it was cool to hear from him, liking what we posted and said about Ozzy. So with that, thank you everyone for joining.
Peace. Thanks.
Peace.